He thought he was outsmarting me in the contract. He was so busy looking at the payout that he missed the indemnity clause I hid in the definitions section. He just signed a paper that makes him personally liable for every mistake the company ever made. He didn't just lose the deal. He lost his house. Now, this is a dramatic story, but it's based on very real tactics used in contract negotiations. Welcome, everyone. Today, we're diving deep into the dark arts of contracts. Specifically, how one tiny clause hidden in the fine print can lead to financial disaster. We'll explore the psychological weapons used against you and, most importantly, how you can protect yourself. This isn't just for lawyers or business tycoons. This is for anyone who has ever signed a document, from a phone contract to a new job offer. Stick around, because what you learn today could save you a fortune. Let's start with the most powerful weapon in the contract drafter's arsenal: boredom. Yes, you heard me right. Boredom. Think about it. You're handed a 50-page document filled with dense legal jargon. Your eyes glaze over. Paragraphs blur together. All you want to do is get to the end and sign it. This isn't an accident, it's a deliberate strategy. Lawyers and negotiators know that a long, complicated document is intimidating. They use what I call the boredom weapon to wear you down. They pack the contract with repetitive clauses, overly formal language, and endless sections that seem irrelevant. Your brain is wired to conserve energy. When faced with a task that's both difficult and dull, it naturally looks for shortcuts. That's the moment of weakness they're waiting for. You start skimming. You skip over sections like definitions or miscellaneous provisions because they sound like boilerplate legal stuff. You think, how important can this really be? The answer is, it can be everything. They're banking on you getting tired, on you trusting that everything is standard. This fatigue is a Trojan horse. While you're battling to stay awake, they're sneaking in the clauses that can strip you of your rights and your money. They hide the traps in the most boring, unassuming places, knowing that's where you're least likely to look. How do you fight back against the boredom weapon? First, never review a contract when you're tired or rushed. Set aside dedicated, uninterrupted time. Second, break it down. Don't try to read all 50 pages in one sitting. Tackle it in chunks. Read 5 pages, take a break, and then come back. Use a ruler to guide your eyes line by line, forcing yourself to slow down. Highlight anything you don't understand. Make notes. Turn it into an active, engaging process rather than a passive, boring task. Remember, their weapon is your fatigue. Your defense is deliberate, patient attention. The more boring a section seems, the more carefully you should read it. Now let's talk about the traps themselves, what I call the legal handcuffs. These are clauses designed to lock you into unfavorable terms, often with devastating financial consequences. One of the most notorious is the indemnity clause. In simple terms, an indemnity clause is a promise to pay for someone else's losses. Imagine you're a freelance designer. A company hires you, and you sign a contract with a broad indemnity clause. If that company gets sued for something related to your work, even if it wasn't entirely your fault, you could be on the hook for all their legal fees and damages. We're talking hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars. These clauses effectively make you their insurance policy, but you're paying the premium with your personal assets. Another nasty piece of work is the prevailing party or attorney's fees clause. It sounds fair on the surface. Whoever wins a lawsuit gets their legal fees paid by the loser. But think about the power dynamic. A large corporation has a team of expensive lawyers on retainer. You, as an individual or small business owner, probably don't. This clause becomes a tool of intimidation. They know you can't afford a prolonged legal battle. So even if they breach the contract, they can threaten to sue you, knowing that the risk of having to pay their massive legal bill will force you to back down. It's as a legal game of chicken where they re-driving a tank and you re-on a bicycle. These aren't just clauses. They're handcuffs designed to limit your options and force your compliance. So when you see terms like indemnify, hold harmless, or attorney's fees, red flags should be waving. Your job is to understand exactly what you're agreeing to. Who are you indemnifying? For what specific actions? Is there a cap on your liability? For attorney's fees, you can negotiate to have it removed or made mutual, where each party pays their own fees regardless of the outcome. This levels the playing field. Don't let these handcuffs be slapped on you without a fight. The key is to identify them, understand their implications, and negotiate them into something fair, or be prepared to walk away from the deal. Your freedom is worth more than any single contract. Now for the master level trick, the place where the most devastating traps are hidden. The definition ambush. This is where we come back to our opening story. The definitions section is usually at the very beginning of a contract. It looks like a simple glossary defining terms that will be used throughout the document. It's the part everyone skips. Everyone. Because who needs a definition of company or confidential information? It seems obvious. And that is precisely why it's the perfect hiding spot. Here's how the ambush works. A savvy drafter will bury a substantive obligation inside a definition. For example, the definition of company assets might be written to include not just the company's property, but also all intellectual property created by the contractor during or after the term of this agreement. By signing, you've just handed over the rights to everything you create forever, even after you stop working for them. Or, in the case from our story, the definition of company liabilities was expanded to include any and all claims, damages, or losses incurred by the company, for which the signatory agrees to be held personally and jointly liable. Boom! That one sentence, hidden in a definition, just made that person personally responsible for the company's debts. He was so focused on the payment terms later in the contract that he completely missed the bomb ticking away on page 2. The contract looked standard, but the definitions had been weaponized. This is a 5-star black belt move in contract drafting. It's deceptive, it's clever, and it's brutally effective because it preys on your assumptions. You assume a definition is just a definition. You assume the important stuff comes later. Those assumptions can cost you everything. So from this day forward, I want you to treat the definitions section as the most important part of any contract you read. Read every single definition, no matter how basic it seems. Ask yourself, does this definition do more than just define a term? Does it create an obligation? Does it expand or limit a right? Does it sneak in a promise? Compare the defined term with how it's used later in the document. Often, you'll find a harmless-looking term in the main text, but its definition contains the real poison. Scrutinize this section with the intensity of a bomb disposal expert, because that's exactly what you're doing, diffusing a potential explosion. Let's put this all together. Why is it so crucial to always read the fine print? Because the fine print is where the truth lives. It's where the power dynamics of the deal are laid bare. The big print, the headlines, the payout numbers, that's the sales pitch. That's what they want you to focus on. The fine print is the reality. It's the part that governs what happens when things go wrong. And in business and in life, things eventually do go wrong. Signing a contract without reading every word is like walking through a minefield with your eyes closed. You might make it across a few times, but eventually you're going to step on something that will blow up in your face. The story of the man who lost his house wasn't about him being unintelligent. He was a smart guy. It was about him being complacent. He underestimated his opponent and overestimated his own understanding of the document. He fell for the oldest tricks in the book, the boredom weapon, the legal handcuffs, and the definition ambush. Your signature is one of the most powerful things you own. It's a legally binding promise. Before you give it away, you owe it to yourself to understand exactly what you're promising. Don't ever let someone rush you into signing. Don't be afraid to ask dumb questions. There are no dumb questions when your financial future is on the line. If you don't understand something, do not sign. Take it to a professional, a lawyer who can translate the legal jargon for you. The few $100s you spend on a legal review could save you millions down the road. It's the best insurance you can buy. Reading the fine print isn't about being paranoid. It's about being professional. It's about being prudent. It's about protecting yourself, your family, and your future. The next time you're handed a contract, remember this. Remember the boredom, the handcuffs, and the hidden definitions. Slow down, read every word, and never, ever sign until you are 100% certain of what you're agreeing to. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this has been eye-opening. If you found this valuable, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content designed to make you smarter and safer. Share this with anyone you know who might be signing a contract soon. You could be saving them from a very expensive mistake. See you in the next video.